Just get around here. Try not to fucking knock it over. Hey, sad boys, how are we doing? I'm well.
Thank you for asking.
Welcome to my channel. What is up, guys? My name's Grayson Todd. I talk about music and in an effort to be more positive this year, which I am and always is, I have decided to dedicate at least one video, and maybe more if I get around to making them, to talking about albums that have changed my life. Musical experiences in which, if I did not have them, if they did not graze my brain with their audible sounds, a splendid plunder of joy and fears and woes, other emotions. If this album did not enter my life, then I, quite frankly, would not be the same person I am speaking to you today, for better or for worse. I'm gonna take each video to express or share an album, but it's also gonna be an excuse to talk about like 30 other albums. If I am really trying to break down the different stylings that I incorporate in my music and myself, this way I'm gonna have each album sort of be like its own mood piece, representing a genre, a shade, just a corner of my psyche that I hold with me as a very normal, functioning, and cool individual.
She can still do whatever she does and still function. That's pretty cool, dude. I guess I'm not alone in this world, you know?
And that's like the hope, right? That's what music is. That's what music does. Even though I'm unique in the way I express my feelings, my emotional state, my emotional core is rooted in something truthful. I'm all about getting to that truth. Have I said the theme of this episode yet? So the first area that I think is worth exploring is what I consider, what I call Americana. America itself doesn't really have a culture, but instead in its interpretations, in its absorption of these other cultures, it's then transformed, it's reintroduced as something that is solely uniquely influential to the area that could only be produced in such a huge amalgamation of influences that is America. It's that deep-rooted Southern sort of feeling of Americana, this hollowness of what this country is, what this country promises, what this country can be, but ultimately the emptiness that you feel in the realization of how hollow that dream actually is. Like, it doesn't have to be political. There's not a political viewpoint, but it has to have this deep rooted core and also the reflection in which it creates in the stylings that it's aping that are then aped from then, and how we just morph things into their own unique little experiences and how those all collectively become Americana. I don't know. I have a fascination with the dream of what America promises to be. As a anarchistic, leaning, political, queer person, it's hard to really like being an American. I like the country. I love the earth. I love the grass. I love the mountains. Didn't really care for Florida all that much. I'm in love with the land that makes up America. I'm in love with the people that make up the body. I like the ideas, the inspirations, the hope that we share, the connection that we can create, that we are able to build and find communities in the most desolate, isolated of places, despite the odds and factors trying to tear us apart and isolate us within our little suburban boxes. Part of the American dream of Americana is still believing in that optimistic hope, that dream of being an equal part of a society that has everyone able to find their niche and their place. The best of music in this genre, in this category for me, has to encompass that deep understanding, that history, all of the just anger, violence, and just political destruction that is caused on the American population every single day, while also having that hopeful dream, that love, that beauty in the single moments that they find, something that's idealistic, while also acknowledging the place that we exist in. To start off this genre, you kind of enter into a place, or at least I did, that is the soft dad punk rock. You have Social Distortion, Bad Religion, entry point into punk rock, social consciousness, thinking about music as maybe a political tool. And there's also something to be said about the gravelly nature that comes with one's voice in this genre. Actors like Tom Waits or Bob Dylan, really working class heroes that just gravel and grind their way through each song.
Go ahead, call the cops. You don't meet nice girls in coffee shops.
America itself is imperfect. The infrastructure is flawed, fall apart at any second. But the guitaring's clean. The drums are tight. The bass is constantly riding along these riffs.
I want you to hold me. I want your arms around me. I want you to hold me, baby.
I think Green Day with American Idiot, but actually a lot better with like Insomnia, did a pretty good job of speaking towards Americana and the social kind of climate in which people just interact and live with. Green Day, I would say, is much more on the punk spectrum and may be saved for a later video. So I don't really want to talk about them right now, okay? The first time that I think I truly felt this American spirit, this Americana, was with the Gaslight anthems, The American Slain. I like the 1950s sound, and there's some genuine bangers on Senor and the Queen, but American Slain from start to finish with Bring It On, Queen of Lower Chelsea, Botzer, Old Hands, The Spirit of Jazz. There is a soulful, rustic nature to this album, that reverberation that you could hear out of a hot rod jukebox. Gaslight Anthem knows how to make a pop hit with that American soul. But there is also a veneer that feels like they're maybe playing into it a little too much. Like maybe they are putting on the flat caps just you know, kind of play into this persona of the American band. And there were other bands that also feel this sort of satisfaction. To an extent, I think Bayside kind of covers that sound. They're more interpersonal and speak towards relationships and who they are as men. I think the Smoking Popes have like a cool kind of 90s indie dad rock sound to it. And you can also get into the folk side. Now, folk to me as a genre is the most spiritual. I myself have no spiritual feeling, soulful ideology whatsoever. I think all we are the physical matter that we have. The brain is all there is to the mind, and when that goes away, then like whatever, dude. So like take what you got while you get what you got, and you get what you got because you don't stop till you drop dead in the hole where we're all gonna go one day. But if we're all in it together, then we can cuddle and it'll be warm. Folk music cuts through all the bullshit, all the artifice, all the production. It will be the scratchiest, dirtiest thing you've ever heard, but the genuine soulfulness that they speak towards is so moving. Folk music, Americana, makes me feel that optimism while also keeping me grounded to the things that are important. It's just about saying, hey, we're all people, we're all just kids from towns, and we're just trying to figure out how we live, how we breathe, and why do others look at us the way they do when we talk.
Why are you cocking your head? I'm speaking right at you. Your eyes are empty. Don't you get it? Don't you understand me?
And when they don't understand me, music does. Music holds me together. So with the combination of that folk spirit, of that rustic working class spirit, while having a punk edge, no single band fulfills better than the Menzingers. And these guys know when to fucking rip it, get heavy, and they know when to bring in the spirit, when to tone it down, and just have a steely, rusty acoustic guitar carry the tone, and their voices just trembling through the ballad. Some of their songs feel like old American work songs like callings. There's an anger that resides in their music, but it feels focused, it feels spearheaded at those in power, at those who do implement energy into hurting and corrupting those around them. There is a sense of self-awareness with I don't want to be an asshole anymore.
But I don't wanna be an asshole anymore.
Self-improvement with how they speak about their issues and their problems and trying to move on. There's a progression, a growth in their music while still retaining the core sound, the core feeling that they begin with. Menzingers are just one of my favorite bands. They take the sound that was introduced to me through vessels like Gaslight Anthem, and they fine-tune it and comb it into something that is so genuinely punk that makes Gaslight Anthem almost feel kind of like a novelty. Still good, still banner, genuineness that is brought forth in every single Menzinger performance. It's something that is truly inspiring to the absolute work ethic that these guys put into every single thing they do. A lesson in abuse of information technology has some of my favorite classic heavy songs to it. Alpha K, Fall Off a Balcony is such a good opener track, and Even For an Eggshell will always be one of my favorite Menzinger jams. I see this as a great first introduction into absolutely everything that this band will take and grow from and become. Like Richard Corey, this sad middling guitar song about a man who fucking killed himself before going into a punk shortening cover of Straight to Hell from The Clash. Just fucking iconic shit with voices that bounce off each other in a way that is so dynamic. Not Since Taking Back Sunday has a dynamic truly gripped me as much as the Menzingers, with one voice being a high intensity, almost straining. That makes you want to hit something. And then the other vocalist coming in with just a warm vinyl texture. That makes you feel comfortable, but also vulnerable. And this combination really creates some truly unique moments, and they're really experimenting with what they want their sound to be on this first album. Even their newer works, like Hello Exile, has some absolute fucking classic Menzinger songs that will always be a part of me. America, You're Freaking Me Out basically covers everything I'm trying to represent in this video that I'm putting on YouTube right now. It speaks towards this feeling of loving the place and the people and the world around you, but being unsettled and freaked out by the politics of it. Especially given who I am, I don't really feel comfortable all the time these days. It's almost like it's by design. Rented World to me sticks out as a particularly momentous point in their careers. Rented World feels like a turning point into the modern Menzingers that still holds the same energy. It's refined and produced to such a point that just makes it feel timeless. The kick drum is thick. The guitars are clean but distorted to have a good thickness to it, harmonizing in ways that feels truly beautiful and unique to the way that only they could do. Kick it off with I Don't Want to Be an Asshole Anymore, a funny song with a cute and true sentiment, one of getting better. Self-improvement, setting the album tone on something of positivity, of moving forward with Bad Things and Rodent, following up, bringing catchy, quick, hooky licks that are just like, don't want to skip any song on here. And it's when you get to Transient Love that I truly lose myself in everything that the Menzingers has to give me. This neurotic self-awareness being presented over a steady beat and soft strumming guitars that I have never heard from the Menzingers and has never been so elegantly captured. You know me, a 5-minute slow jam is not my thing. That is not what I typically go for. It explodes with a swelling sense of emotion without forcing it upon you. And that is just the midpoint in the album with Nothing Feels Good Anymore, just being a heavy, gross rager that fills in that void of sadness with a little bit of anger before In Remission becomes just like one of the best, most energetic Menzinger songs they have ever written. Typically, when a band is like, all right, we're gonna play a new one for you, usually that's when I'm like, oh, I guess I don't know this one. Let's just nod along until it's over. But when they played In Remission, just an energy in it like it's always been in them, and that hook at the end, if everyone needs a crutch, then I need a wheelchair. This pervasive driving force of just wanting to just get through to someone and trying to break through but not being able to, being in remission with yourself, a battle with someone else, a relationship, whatever it has been. Even with all that being said, all of that was said was a build-up and introduction to what is actually the album that changed my life. I shall never forget the first song I heard from the Menzingers. It's when I logged on to limewire.com and I downloaded illegally a copy of On the Impossible Pass. And when I clicked on that first song on my iTunes. Damn, it really was 2012, wasn't it? And when I clicked on that first song on my iTunes, I fell in love. I knew it. Probably had a really shitty job, was probably doing school at a community college, and I was probably unhappy. For something to just hit, just that perfect tone of I'm having a terrible time, but being this playful, energetic guitar riff spoke so truthfully to everything that I felt coming out of high school, knowing that none of it fucking mattered, that high school was over, all those people were and now I'm just out in the world trying to figure out who the I am. So then when you're working at a warehouse at 4 in the morning, it's freezing fucking cold because they can't heat it. In my head, the line comes to me, I'm having a horrible time. It hits pretty fucking close to home. And then when we come in with the band and everyone starts screaming it, you got me. I'm lost. We are a body. We are an energy. This song has released something within me, setting a tone for the record that makes me extremely curious for whatever it has next.
Same chords that I sung from a song that I once heard. Same melody I borrowed from the void.
A perfect follow-up. Like, this album was written for the live audience in mind, and I find when that is done, the pacing of the album experience, it's so good, and that's what I love. I love knowing that this was thought and put energy into, and it was created with the intention being taken in the order that it is presented in. There's a reason for this. And then it picks it back up in the obituaries, which I would genuinely describe as one of the greatest songs of the 2010s. I don't care. Good things piqued my interest into the bands, made me perk up, go, what do we have to offer? Burn After Reading gave me a reason to stick around. It's like, okay, now there's 2 songs to enjoy. And then the obituaries made me fall in love. It's almost difficult not to connect to it. Just that basic raw admittance that I will fuck this up. I fucking know it. I've been going neurotic. I've been going insane. I've been reading the obituaries. If I'm the type of person to obsessively ponder over everything, especially my own death, and then I'm reading the obituaries, trying to place myself as a blurb, trying to think of myself as a legacy, as something that is left behind in a paper, then one will feel like they are fucking it up, that they are fucking up life, relationship, whatever it may be. I will fuck this up. That self-manifestation, that self-destiny of overthinking your issues and then making those issues everyone else's problem. But they do with such a class and a style that even when the chorus is, I will fuck this up, it feels clean. It feels like something that you could still show to your grandma because it's so genuinely spoken that it's like, yeah, I fucking know it too, dude. Gates is a little slower jam, one that calms us down before we get that drumming kick into Ava's house.
Ava, are you trying to get high? I hope the floor holds this time. We'll dance inside a romance together.
Ava, are you trying to get high? I hope the floor holds this time. It feels like they're pointing at Ava, but there still seems to be like a romanticism in there, like we'll dance to subtle romance together. And the pounding drums when the guitars come in, it just feels so big. It feels like an arena song that's played for a club, and it's that energy that feels so genuine to the moments they're trying to portray. It's not the same type of intensity over and over again. Them saying, I will fuck this up, is different than them saying, Ava, are you trying to get high? This before we go into Sun Hotel. I remember you well.
I remember you well at the Sun Hotel.
There is something like beautifully nostalgic and his voice trembling over that intro here on Impossible Pass is really where you get them at their most creative, their most inspired. Each song feels like a song taken from a greatest hits because it is so specific and like tuned to itself. I'm pretty sure this corner of the world is the loneliest corner in the whole world.
It's me, the bartender, this Budweiser, the other customers.
The other customers, when all eyes are glued on the 6 o'clock news for another fire, another impending news, decide that I'll leave you alone. I will leave you alone and you will leave me alone. It's about distractions from each other and the moments that we're supposed to live in. And we're all waiting to watch the 6 o'clock news, to see impending doom, to be angry, to be scared. Those things shall distract us and we will leave each other alone. That's the Americana-ness. That's the dual side, the flip side, being like poor and broke and desperate. But we had each other, but we couldn't see it. We couldn't hold on to it at the moment. The moment that really kind of captures that feeling is when they repeat the line, we took rides in your American muscle car, felt American for the very first time. We felt that realization. We felt that hope, that thought, whatever the fuck they want us to feel in that American muscle car going vroom, vroom. We felt it.
Like when we would take rides in your American muscle car. I felt American for once in my life. I never felt it again.
And I think that's sort of the theming on Impossible Pass. Is like you obsess so much about the bad things or the good things. You obsess about the obituary, about the people who have died, about the people who are currently dying, the people you can never help, the people you can never see, affect, or move. You drift apart from that past that held you guys together. Something that I think that album cover is hinting at with the girl holding the wedding ring. Like, obviously, you're supposed to focus on the wedding ring. They also look like they're on vacation. It's not like a formal place. Imagery of just like hanging out and being with someone. Because in like truth, that's what life's about. It's about the creation of memories, empathy, connections. With the title track on the Impossible Pass, feeling like an interlude, re-emphasizing that point. And I held the wheel while you drank and drove. Our plans were miserable. So he felt American for once in his life. The flip side to that, or the continuation of that, is we crashed your car. We crashed that American muscle car.
And then we crashed your car. Your American muscle car.
Like we built something grand and big and powerful and something that makes you feel powerful, something that you can drive to the end of the world in, regardless of what your issues are. But we crash it. We crash that muscle car in a ditch on a sawmill road. So something industrial, something Americana. There was ice on all the roads. We always dreamt of having nice things. Which then takes us to the next song, Nice Things, where we talk about the nice things we're supposed to have. Talking about the Western walls, Western influences, capitalism, commodities, speaking towards political systems, but not really giving you a point of view, not pointing fingers or saying, just really holding a mirror of just like, this isn't how it should be. This isn't how we want it to be. How can we improve? How can we move? How can we have nice things? Do nice things matter? Do we need nice things to be happy?
Western was a jumbo screen at the gate. There's an automated teller machine.
What, there's no lyrics for Casey? Casey doesn't get any lyrics? Doesn't matter. I know Casey by f***ing heart. While we're romanticizing and looking at the past, Casey describes a relationship, the relationship, our protagonist, and this ill-fated waitress that I think was in the car, who owned the muscle car.
On the long ride back to Philly, from the way that you'd wear your hair, from the way that you'd laugh. When you drank too much before the plug was pulled, the fires burned out and all the parties grew bored. You waited tables.
I don't know if it's supposed to be all connected. There is sort of a narrative, a connected thread. There is a general theming, like I've been talking about, of Americana, loneliness, nostalgia for a relationship of the past. And you see that reflected in the songs referencing one another, taking lines, building off of one another. Casey seems to be an entire song reminiscing on the relationship that they had. Getting drunk before doing the dishes, getting high before doing chores and laundry, just being home. They're no longer dreaming, fantasizing, hoping for that American car ride to escape. What they're holding on to is the moments that they would just drink and get high because it was so much better than dealing with everything. And then if you're in a relationship where you're both trying to distract each other by fueling and influencing one another through the consumption of substances, it could also be sort of reminiscent years removed, where it's like, sure, it was ultimately destructive, but those moments when I would hang out with you on our smoke breaks. I love that. They use a lot of imagery of a waitress, and it's just that classic, like, diner Americana, like, you're a waitress. I got a sports car. Let's get a burger, some fries, and a malt shake, baby. That 1950s imagery, the things that are good. Diner culture really is what I respect the most about the 50s. Personally, everything else can kind of fuck off. Much like how Edgar Wright in the movie Baby Driver was telling a very modern film about a getaway driver and the trappings of him trying to leave that life through Edgar Wright's stylistic choice to make her a waitress in a diner with the neon glow of lights. Like, their romance, their relationship in Baby Driver, which I'm now talking about, feels very similar to what the Menzingers are trying to create. This hope, this dream to just run away with the person you love, but you're trapped by the life you made. The things you had to do to make your dreams true will never let you out alive. So it captures this, like, Americana feeling as well, while having, like, the diner imagery, the muscle cars. Feels similar stylistically in the sense that it's a modern interpretation of, like, 1950s imagery. And what's crazy is that's not even the last jam, because I can't seem to tell. It's just like a fun, awesome, just like song. It's just like a good jam. If you shuffle the Menzingers catalog and any of these songs come up, they feel like they are the second or third song on the album. They are recorded, produced, and performed with as much energy, intensity, and enthusiasm, thought, and effort put into each fucking line and lyric into these songs. Really, a lot of bands, they'll do the singles, they'll do the one heavy, energetic song that the radios will play, follow it up with a softer ballad, maybe get a sexier third song, and then the rest of the album is just like coasting. It's just like jibbly jab, whatever we were able to make in the studio to fill up the space of the full-length album. Albums aren't really distributed like that anymore. We have the abilities, the technical capabilities of listening to an entire album before we make the decision to purchase it. If people even purchase albums anymore. I know I do, because I enjoy the physical media. I like a good vinyl. I like when you can go to the concert, go to the show, and you say, hey band, I like your stuff. Here's my money. Thank you for the vinyl. Have a good show tonight. You play any of these songs and they feel like they are the single.
Everything I got, oh, everything I got. My cabinet
been some vague imagery, some like Berlin Wall ass, Western Wall. The wall has to fall. But in order to make social progression, in order to move forward, a generation basically has to sacrifice itself to overthrowing the machine in order to rid us of the machine we're trapped in. And in reality, this album is about how the monotony of capitalism forces you to be compliant in your life and your relationships to the point where you just create problems out of neurotic need because everything is stress and everything is problematic. So if we're good, if we're having fun, if we're calm, then like something is wrong, something isn't right because we have to be moving, we have to be changing, we have to be altering all the time. But you still need to hold on to those moments, those seconds you get with the people you love, the people that you share the most with. You have to hold on to those because without them, all you have is just like an empty shell. This really feels like one of the greatest rock albums ever made. There's just so much love and genuine musicianship put into it that I will forever give a new Menzingers song album a chance. So with that, I'm Grayson Todd. This has been me gushing over the Menzingers on The Impossible Past, being my personal favorite piece of Americana music, being one of my favorite albums of all time, and something that I would truly say I would not be the same person if I had never heard this. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a quick recording, but once I start talking about music, once I start talking about the Menzingers, like, we're here for a while. Anyway, have you heard the Menzingers? You like the Menzingers? Is On the Impossible Past one of the greatest albums ever recorded? You don't have to answer that. Is Rented World better? Fuck, I love Rented World. That's me gushing over the Menzingers. Have you heard them? Do you like them? Whatever, man. It's all in the past now. Thank you for watching. Have a good time. Stay sweaty. Listen to some good shit. And I look at you next time. I hope, maybe, possibly, if you're there, I'll be there. It's my channel. I have to be here. Without me, what is it? Jack shit.